All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on in chapter 1. I'm going to be talking about reading and writing numbers for lesson 1.2 today. Before we get started, there's 3 different ways that you can write numbers. You can write numbers in standard form, which is how we see numbers every day, just like this. You can write numbers in word form, which is where we actually write the numbers out using our words. Or you can use expanded form, which is where you take the value of each digit, kind of like we did here, and you write the number out that way. So let's see what the problem is they've got for us today. It says the International Space Station uses 262,400 solar cells to change sunlight to electricity. They want us to write 262,400 in standard form, word form, and expanded form. Okay? So how we can do that is we can use a place value chart. It says each group of 3 digits separated by a comma is called a period. Each period has hundreds, tens, and ones, and the greatest place value position in the thousands period is the 100,000. So over here, if you can see, I've got these in different colors. So these first 3 numbers, that is the ones period. And then these numbers over here, that's the thousands period. And as you can see, they're separated by that comma. So every 3 numbers, there's a comma, and then it'll start a new period. So we've got the ones period, which is our ones, tens, and hundreds, and we've got our thousands period, which is thousands, 10,000s, and 100,000s. Okay? So they want us to write 262,400 in the place value chart below. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. We've got 262,400. Okay? It's got 2 periods. We've got numbers in the ones period, and then we've got numbers in the thousands period. In standard form, it looks just like this. You would write it if I said, please write 262,400. The way you would write that number is standard form. That's how we see numbers all the time. Word form is where we're actually going to write it out in words the exact same way we're saying it. So the easiest way to do that is to take it one little bit at a time. So what I would start with is I would say, okay, what am I saying first? 200. So I would go ahead and write out 200. And then I would say, okay, what comes after that? 262. So then I would write 62. And then I'd go back. 262 what? 1,000, right? So then I would write the word 1,000. And the same place that you have the comma in the standard form is where you'll put the comma in your word form as well. And then that last little bit, so 262,400, and then I would just write 400 for our word form. So the way that you say the number is the exact same way that you would write the number, okay? And then we've got expanded form. So with expanded form, we're going to take the value of each of those digits. So remember in lesson 1.1 where I told you you're going to take that number and then you're going to replace the digits behind it with zeros to find the value of it? That's what you're going to be using here to write your numbers in expanded form. So we've got, for the 2, I'm going to write that 2 out, and you can't really see these, so I'm going to write them a little bit bigger over here. For the 2, I've got 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places behind it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you connect each place value digit with an addition symbol. Then I move on to the next place value. I've got my 6. So I'm going to write my 6 down and then count how many places are behind it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So how many zeros would I put behind that 6? Right. I would put 4 zeros behind that 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to put another addition symbol. I'm going to put it down here so that y'all can still see it and I'm not standing in front of it. Then I move on to my next digit, which is the 2 in the thousands place. So I'm going to write that 2, and then what would I do? Right, I'm going to look at the digits behind it, count how many they are, and then replace them with zeros. So I've got 1, 2, 3 places behind that 2. So there's my 3 zeros to replace it, and then I'm going to put another addition symbol. And then I look at my last place value right here, which is the 4 in the hundreds place. I'm going to write my 4. How many places are behind that 4? Right, there's 2. 1, 2. So I'm going to write with 2 zeros. All right, and if there's a 0, we don't have to put plus 0, plus 0. We can kind of just leave those how they are. All right, and that is how you would write that in expanded form. That's expanded form. I'm going to draw a line there. 200,000 plus 60,000 plus 2,000 plus 400. Okay, let's move on to some examples so that we can see some more practice. Okay, so here we've got, let's look at example A and example B. We'll start with example A first. So they want us to write the numbers in standard form, word form, and expanded form, but they've already given us word form. So now we've got to write it in standard form and then finish the expanded form. So I have to use this right here to help me write the other two. Word form says 92,170. Okay, so 92,000. I know that because it says thousand, it's going to be in this thousands period up here. So I'm just going to write that number 92. 92. And I see there's a comma right here after that thousand. So I know that I can put my comma right there after that 92. And then we've got 170. How would we write the number 170 in standard form? Exactly. 170 for 170. Very good. So now we've taken the word form they gave us, wrote it in standard form, and now we've got to write it and finish the expanded form. They've already done 90,000 for the 9, plus 2,000 for the 2, then there's a blank, and then they have plus 70 for the 7. So what is the value of this 1 that we're missing? What place value is that 1 in? Right, it's in the hundreds place. So if we have a 1 in the hundreds place, what would the value of that be? Right, it would be 100. Very good. Okay, let's look over here at B. For standard form, they've given us the number, and then they want us to finish writing it in word form and expanded form. So standard form, what number is this? How would we say that? I'm going to write it a little bit bigger so you can see it. Right, that's 200,007. Very good. So for word form, they've given us 200 blank, comma, blank. What would go in this blank right here? 200 what? 200 what? Right, 1,000. That 200 is in that thousands period. So 200,000. And then what's left? 200,000, right, 7. And that's what we would put right there. 200,007. We are writing it the exact same way we are saying it. Okay? Now for expanded form, they've given us a blank and then plus 7. So they've already given us the value of this 7. Now we've got to go find the value. Do we include zeros? No, because those zeros aren't going to add any value to our number. So we're going to look at this 2 and figure out what the value of this 2 is. So I'm going to go ahead and write down the number 2, and I'm going to count how many places are behind it. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 digits behind that 2. So how many zeros am I going to put behind that 2? Exactly. I'm going to put 5 zeros behind that 2 to replace those digits. So we've got 200,000 plus 7. Good job. All right. Let's look at some more examples. We're just going to do these 2 examples right here, and then you'll have some that you can go practice on your own. All right, so they want us to read and write the numbers in two other forms. So if they give it to you in one form, you write it in the other two. So for number 2, they've given it to us in, what form is this? What form did they give this to us? Right, this is word form. So we're going to have to write it in standard form and expanded form. Okay? So the number, it says 408,017. Okay, so the easiest way to do this is I would look at this right here. 408. How would you write 408? And it's in the thousands period. 408. What would 408 look like if I just said, hey, can you write 408 on a piece of paper for me? What would that look like? Right. It would just look like this. 408. Okay? But because it's in the thousands period, we know that it's going to be in this front block right here. So what comes after each period? That comma, right? Every 3 numbers, then there's a comma. So 408,000, so we're going to have a comma there, 17. All right, so would I write 17 like this, or am I missing something? Right, I'm missing something. So I'm going to have to, wrong pen. Because I don't have anything in my hundreds place, I'm going to put a 0 there and then the 17. 408,017. What form is this in right there? What form did I just write that in? Good. That's standard form. Very good. All right. So we've got it in word form, standard form, and now we have to write it in expanded form. Okay? So we're going to look at each digit, and we're going to write the value of it and then connect them by using an addition symbol. Start with our 4. Remember, you write that digit down. Count how many places are behind it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Replace it with 5 zeros. And there's the value of that 4. And then we connect it with a what? Correct, an addition symbol. So plus. Do we need to write that 0 down? No, we can just move on to the next number. So we'll look at that 8. And then I count how many places are behind it. 1, 2, 3. The value of that 8 is 8,000. And then another addition symbol. I'm going to write it down here. I'll write it right here. Do we write this 0 down? No, because it doesn't add any value to our number, so we just can leave it out. And then I go to this 1. That 1 is in the tens place. So what is that 1 going to look like? There's 1 place behind it. Replace it with 1 0. And then we've got 1 number left, and our 7 is in our what place? Good, it's in our ones place. So we can just write plus 7. And that is expanded form. Very good. All right, last one we're going to do together. 65,058. So what form did they give this to us in? Right, that's standard form. So we've got to write it in word form and expanded form. So let's start with word form. And remember, we're going to write it the exact same way that we say it. So 65,000. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down. I'm not going to try to write it all down at once because I might forget what numbers I said. So I'm going to do it piece by piece. 65,000. And then I'm going to make sure I put my comma there because wherever there's a comma in the number, you put it in the same place in your word form. And then I'll look at my back part. 65,058. And then I'll just write 58. And there that number is in word form. Good job. All right, so now we've got it in expanded form. And I'm going to write expanded form up here because I've got a little bit more room. I'm going to start with my first number, which is a 6. Count how many digits I have behind it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to replace those with what? Good, with zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what do I connect them with? Good, an addition symbol. So plus, then I move on to my next number, which is a 5. How many places do I have behind it? Good, I've got 3. 1, 2, 3. So I'll replace it with zeros. Then I move on to my next number. I'm going to write it down here. Do I have to write plus 0? No. Why not? Good, because that's not going to add any value to that number, so we can just leave it out. So then I'll move on to my 5. How many places are behind it? Just one. Very good. So 50. So our 5 was in our tens place. 5 tens we know is worth 5, 10, or 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Sorry about that. So we know that that's correct. And then, again, with an addition symbol, and my last number right there is my 8 in my what place? What place value is that in? Very good. That's in my ones place. Good job. Plus 8. And there you have it in expanded form. 60,000 plus 5,000 plus 50 plus 8. Great job, guys. If you need any help, come back to this lesson. You've got a couple problems that you can find in your folders for Friday for math. And if you need any help, just come right back to it. Thanks, guys.